I cannot be the two. Why you on a perimeter, can't even shoot? Oh, you got a whack at jump. We gon' make it rain, no thunder. I ain't tryna sit on the phone, tryna.
So we are back with our Week 11 recap, y'all. Studs and duds, specifically speaking. Hell of a week, man. We had some players really show out this week for us. Some units, some people off the field especially, but let's get right into it. Well, number 5 stud this week is George Pickens. Now, again, my number 5s might be a little recency bias, but both these guys, you'll see it on the dud list too, just really are both these studs. This stud, the other dud. These players, units, teams, both entities at my number 5 slots just really showed out on Monday Night Football, in my opinion, doing some great things in George Pickens' case. I wanted to just shed some light on him personally. Not personally, I don't know the guy, but the fact that he's been the number 1 wide receiver to Dak Prescott this year, I understand that CD has missed some games, but even when he's playing, George Pickens was the better receiver tonight, and oftentimes is. In the league, he's tied for 6th in touchdowns. He's 5th in yards, top 5. That's impressive. And again, I understand CD's missed some time, and it helps when you have another number 1 wide receiver opposite you. But George Pickens has really shown out this year. Obviously, it's a contract year. So most players, especially wide receivers or, edge players, play really well contract year. It's not like he was bad for the Steelers, but obviously they replaced him with DK, and he's been showing out in a better offense, quite frankly, than he had in the Steelers, better quarterback that he ever had. So I'm happy for Dak having George. Obviously, I'm happy for George. I don't know if Dallas is really going to keep him because his price is just going up, up, and up. And then do they really want to copy and paste what the Bengals are doing this year with lesser players? I do think Jamar is better than CD. I might be leaning more George Pickens over T Higgins, which might sound crazy to you guys. But just as football players, maybe not off the field. And George has been good this year. He had that celebration, which we'll get into later. But maturity wise, that's what they're worried about with George Pickens. But I think I would pay him. Nah, I probably wouldn't pay him out with the Cowboys. Again, you have CD. You already have a number 1. You have good tight end. Your running back's good. Your O line has been good. Everything's been working so well. But George Pickens has been, the center of that. With CD missing three games, I believe. He's just been hot. He's been what you got. But who knows what Dallas does? They don't make a lot of good decisions down there. Number 4 on the list is Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I don't personally like him for some of the comments he made towards Russell Wilson. Obviously, I have no problem with you moving on from Russ. If he's playing bad, you can move on. But taking shots at him here and there, I feel like Russ takes a lot of. But this is not Russ. Let's just move on. Sean Payton, when they lost their first playoff game last year, Sean Payton actually looked ahead and said, "I liked our matchup with Kansas City coming up," which sounds wild because obviously back-to-back Super Bowls on the way to the third. Obviously, they lost that one. But to say that about a division rival, division opponent, I don't know if they're rivals, division opponent, after losing to someone else, like, that sounds crazy. You're not supposed to say that. And he's such a good coach, um, league-wide, respected coach, legendary, historically a good coach, a great coach, Super Bowl winning coach, Hall of Fame quarterback soon to be. I don't think Drew Brees is in the Hall of Fame yet, but will be obviously. So him being at the helm of those offenses, some of them, disappointing teams, but helm of those offenses, he's widely respected. So when he goes out and says that, and then this offseason he talks about Bo Nix and really just gasses him up, just like the hardball does to Jim Herb, just like the hardballs do to both their quarterbacks, whether it be Lamar or Justin. They're just gassing up their quarterback. But Sean Payton did it with Bo Nix, and one of these things is not like the other. You know what I'm saying? Bo Nix, obviously they played at Oregon, but Bo Nix is not like Justin Herbert, or Bo Nix is not like Lamar Jackson. So when Sean Payton comes out and says such great things about Bo Nix, it makes you is he lying to himself, or is he just lying to us? Does he know, or does he think we don't know? I don't know. Um, and this year so far, Bo Nix has not proved him right, but he hasn't proved him wrong either. Again, he's been bad for most of the beginnings of the games, but then he comes out hot at the end. But this week specifically, Sean Payton is on this list for just simply beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And probably essentially securing um, the number one spot in the division over some legendary quarterbacks. Obviously, not Geno, but legendary strong for Justin Herbert. But really good quarterbacks in Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Really good coaching, really good teams in general. Looking at the Broncos and their skill players, I think they leave a lot to be desired in that aspect. But Bo Nix has been making it work. Troy Franklin, Cortland Sutton. I mean, these are good pieces, but they're not, you know, Travis Kelsey in their prime. They're not Keenan Allen in their prime. Well, not even in their prime. The first couple years that Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes were in the league, they had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey. They had Keenan Allen. They had there was another player Justin Herbert had. I forgot, but really good players all around them. And Bo Nix is doing it with less. Obviously, that defense is better than what Patrick Mahomes at least had in the beginning of his career. But I digress. Sean Payton, your stud for beating the Kansas City Chiefs and really believing in Bo Nix when not a lot of people outside of Denver did or do still. On my 3 list is Ted McMillan. I saw Ted McMillan in person against Travis Hunter, no show. I saw Steve Smith, Agent 89, get on social media and say, this guy's not good. This guy, I don't know if he said he's a bust. I don't know if he said he's a jag. Whatever he said, it was it was a damning. Let's say that because when Steve Smith came on here, not on my pod, obviously, or my channel, but he came on and said Jerry Jeudy is just a guy. You know what I'm saying? He'll never be this, this, and that. Or, after Jerry Jeudy was in the league for a couple of years, doubling down on it. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy went on to have one good game or one good season, whatever it was. But I was like, dang, Steve Smith, most of the time people know what they're talking about when they've played the position. Obviously, some people are just out here yapping, but respect to them. So I really was down on him personally. But this week, 8 targets, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, win over the Falcons on the road. Impressive. I will say it's even more impressive because of who your quarterback is. And I know he had a good game, but I would chalk that up mostly to you. The running game has been great for him. And I still don't think he's going to be your quarterback next year. He might be, and I'm sorry if he is. But they might need to just, turn the page. I don't know who they're getting off the draft or a trade or Kirk Cousins. I don't know. But I feel bad for you because you're doing great things. And it's cool now that you're a rookie. You just want to put up numbers, look good, whatever. But when you reach, and I'm not saying Justin Jefferson heights, but when you're so far into your career when, yeah, I know I'm great. I know I'm the best. But my quarterback isn't up to par with me, I feel like he's going to get frustrated. I don't know if it's going to get that long because I don't know how long of a leash Bryce Young has, but and again, they're 6-5. They're 6-5. But I don't know if you could look at any of their wins and hey, maybe I'm just not paying attention to the Panthers enough, but I don't know if you can look at any of their wins and be like, that was because of Bryce Young. Not Rico Dowdle, not Tet, not the other team just being, I don't know what, not the old line. You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting. Something to keep an eye on. On the 2 list, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is such an amazing player to watch. Like he's so much fun to just sit on there on the couch and watch football, whether it's highlights on TikTok or Twitter, or you really just sit there and watch the whole game. He does amazing things night in and night out, play in and play out. He could just be amazing. And I just think it makes it that much worse when he puts up games like he did last week against Miami or when he's just really, really bad. Because when you have 6 touchdowns in you, when you have 3 on the ground, 3 through the air against a good Bucks team, not a great Bucks defense, but a good Bucks team, it just makes it so much harder to see you not being great. And now we see you as second place in your own division to a younger quarterback, less talented than you. I know they say Drake May is, Josh Allen 2.0, whatever the case is. Josh Allen is one of one, sounds crazy when it comes to talent, but obviously he doesn't run like Lamar, but he's stronger. He may not be as accurate as, Tom or Peyton was, but he has a hell of an arm. Um, he can do some things with that football that many few can do. So he's a generational talent, so to speak. They compare him on the ground as Cam Newton and through the air as, whoever you want to throw with the best of them. And he is a stud this week, so I don't want to bring him down. It's just so far into your career, last week you did win MVP, but so far in your career with no real hardware when it comes to winning in the playoffs, falling short, beating up the bad teams, losing to all your contemporaries, it's rough. But again, he's a stud. I don't want to rain on his parade this week. 6 touchdowns. I think he's the only player in NFL history to yada yada yada. Bills fans are pretty funny in the comments talking about, Josh Allen's the only NFL player ever. Josh Allen, the only QB ever. It's just impressive. It's just impressive. Number one stud of this week is defense. I know it's a cop out, but I'm really talking about NFC defenses. With the Rams, the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Eagles all did collectively in their own ways to opposing quarterbacks and teams in general, whether it be running backs, wide receivers. It really showed these top four contenders, and I want the Packers to be in that group, but the Packers just got it did to them last week against the Eagles. But all these contenders really showed that, yeah, our offense is hot. Sam Darnold and JSN are cooking. Matthew Stafford, MVP talk. Obviously, you got AJ, Devontae, Saquon, that offensive line. Lions, putting up 30 a game in the last 30 games or whatever the case was. But all of them didn't get shut down, but handled by the other team's defense. Even, somebody has to win, but those defenses, and specifically those four defenses, really just put on a show this weekend. And I know maybe I don't want to talk bad about casual football fans, but maybe a casual football fan was watching that game was like, dang, this sucks. There's no points. Maybe people were looking at their parlays like, damn, I'm mad as you know what I'm saying? But it's really good to watch good football when good football is being played, not just, incomplete passes or anything, but like, pass breakups. We're talking about sacks. We're talking about, coverage sacks, especially when the defense, that whatever, dime nickel formation they're in, they stay in that formation all game because they know the offense, in the Rams situation, they want to play with two tight ends, but they had to put out three wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is just really interesting to see when we're talking about coordinator and coordinators. And this time the NFC defenses really came through. But let's move. Oh, look, there's a fly. Let's move to the duds of the week, starting with the Las Vegas Raiders. This one's personal because I have Ashton Genty on my fantasy team. This franchise is so, and I'm not talking about the Oakland Raiders. I'm talking specifically the Las Vegas Raiders. This franchise is so bad. How do you so bad when you have somebody that won 7 Super Bowls in your this franchise is so bad. Geno Smith has been so bad. Your number whatever your first round pick in Genty has been so bad because your offensive line has been so bad. Your head coach has been so bad. I'm not saying you had a chance tonight. I'm not saying you had a chance tonight at all. But when your offensive coordinator finds something that working, those bootleg, they talked about it 3 in a row, bootleg, 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 open, open, open. When you're in your own end zone, I know it's tough to run a bootleg, but you know what I'm not going to do? Run Ashton Genty straight up the middle where he's been getting negative yards all day. No successful yards have came off that play all day. I'm being dramatic. There's probably, 2 or 3. But most of the time he's getting stuffed. But you know what I'm gonna do on my own goal line? Give it to him and let him take a safety. Pete, what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't care who you're the head coach. Know better. He's not Marshawn, and guess what? You definitely don't have a Marshawn O line. You don't have the Lions O line. You don't have Denver's O line. You don't have Eagles O line. Like you just don't have that O line. You're And I'm mad because Ashton Genty wasn't a bad pick in theory. All offseason, I heard, really smart people that we might talk about at the number one spot. Really smart people were talking about the Vegas Raiders like they could be something. Because Geno Smith, he's upgraded out of pumpkin mode. Pete Carroll is a good coach. He knows what he's doing. Ashton Genty is a star. You have Brock Bowers, obviously. Jacoby Myers at the start of the season was at the edge. You had a good enough pieces around, Brock and Ashton Genty that this was going to work. But you, as an organization, should have known that your offensive line was garbage. Maybe we didn't know on the outside, but you should have known. I don't even want to talk about the defensive side of the ball and Jamal Adams and all these. Let's not even get into that. Let's talk about because Max Crosby is hooping. He balling out. Let's talk about your offensive line. Your organization should have known, hey, instead of answering Genty, let's go draft somebody from, a good O line. You know what I'm saying? Somebody had that explosive pass game, Oregon, Ohio State, you know what I'm saying? Go to, where they're corn fed. Go get one of them. You know what I'm saying? You know your offensive line is bad, but instead of doing that, let's just get a running back. He'll fix all our problems. He won't. He hasn't been. And the way you're running him, I don't even want to talk bad about his career, injuries, or nothing like that. But Ashton Genty, I wasn't that high on you coming out of college. You know what I'm saying? Heisman talk. I wanted Travis to win, but still, I know you're better than that. When you're getting negative yards part, you keep getting contacted behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know how to word it, but you grab the ball and you're being tackled behind the line of scrimmage every time. And it was on national standalone game. Everybody saw it. It's not your fault, bro. But people are gonna use it against you long term. It's like when Matthew Stafford had to play for the Lions for so long, and then his stats were like dragged down. Winning stats were dragged down until he got to a good team. But I don't know if you'll get that chance because you're a running back. But anyways, four on the technical difficulties. Four on the duds. Where are we at? Four on the duds. The refs. Ooh, sneak peek. Four on my dud list. The refs. Listen, I could simply talk about the penalties after touchdowns. They don't even call it excessive celebrations anymore. They call them unsportsmanlike conduct. They're not taunting in somebody's face. They're not doing something grotesque to the fans. They're not fighting anybody. They're not. They're literally just jumping on the goalpost, and now you're costing them points. I'm not saying the Lions would have won and blah blah blah, but Jameson Williams, and then tonight George Pickens. There's no reason why jumping on the goalpost should be 15 yards. Why is that a flag at all? I'm not pointing at nobody, talking crazy. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? The only people, especially when Jameson Williams did it, which is just funny that George did it after. I'm sure maybe he didn't know. Maybe he wasn't watching. I don't know. But clearly, the boys were in trouble last night. They were doing something they weren't supposed to do because they didn't start the game. I'm talking about George and CD. But anyways, I digress. There's nobody in America that doesn't like that celebration unless you're over the age of 65, unless you're retired, or you're on the opposing team. And even then, I don't even think you're that mad at it. Because again, I'm not a Lions guy, and I'm not a Raiders, or I'm not a Cowboys guy. But celebrations are fun. Everybody loves celebrations. There's no reasons, unless, again, taunting, they're grown men. They get paid. If you don't want to get taunted at, be better. You know what I'm saying? Spitting on it, I guess, pause. But spitting at somebody else, I understand you want to flag that. That's crazy. But when we're talking about just like straight up yapping, standing over somebody, I guess you could, be a little more conservative when it comes to standing over somebody. But most celebrations or taunting penalties, like refs just got to do better. That's one side of it. The second side of it, and again, I'm not saying the Lions would have won. I'm not saying I was rooting for the Lions, even though I am a Giants guy. The refs were really bad in that game. I feel like there was 2 or 3 plays that they called on the Lions that were pretty big plays. Obviously, the pass interference on Yassine, that's skeptical at best. We're going to talk about that on TikTok specifically, but that's skeptical at best. But there was a few plays during that Lions game that I was just like, wow, they're going to call that or they're not calling that. And it's just, hey, Eagles bias, I don't know. Listen, Jared Goff, that was a bad football game. And again, I gave props to the defenses, and we're gonna talk about another quarterback next. So I gave props to the defenses. I really did. But as a quarterback that was completing more than 70% of their passes, to go down and complete, let me get the exact number. Ooh, technical difficulties. To go out and complete less than 38% of your passes against the Eagles is terrible. Now, again, they were getting pressure on you. Sure. Was it a little cold outside? I guess. But honestly, this picture doesn't give me confidence. My quarterback is fully dressed and covered head to toe when it's 44 degrees out. The cold clearly bothers him. Let's just say that. And obviously, most quarterbacks, most players, not everybody wants to play in the snow or in the cold, but, calling from California, being a California guy in college, playing for the Rams. Now we're in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you play in some domes, but you're going to have to play outside. You're in the NFC. You're going to play some, tough conditions, and you're not going to be able to win a lot of games completing 38% of your passes. And some of them, and I get, again, pressure bothers everyone, some more than others, but still, 38% is not going to cut it. When you got weapons galore everywhere, they kept talking about, oh, you really wish you would have had Sam Laporta here. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. You have a great O-line. You have David Montgomery as a backup to Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Jameson as a speedster. Amon-Ra as a technical, you know what I'm saying, route runner. I don't want to hear about you wish you would have had Sam Laporta. Oh, no. If only you had another all-pro on the... No. Make it happen, Jared. It's not like I believe in you, but dang, that was bad. That was bad football being played. That's all I'm saying. Okay, Sam Darnold, number 2 on the list. I told you we were talking about another quarterback. Sam, people graduated you out of pumpkin mode. And maybe you're just the next one on the list, like Geno Smith, that we graduate out of pumpkin mode, but then deep down, you're still that guy. You're still the guy that wants to throw 4 picks in a very important divisional matchup game. Maybe. Maybe you are no longer the guy that played for the Jets or the Panthers. Maybe you're more like the guy that played for the Vikings. But when the game not started to matter, I won't say, because all games matter. All games matter in the NFL. Some more than others, obviously, but all games matter. But when the games really ratchet up, are you starting to see ghosts again? Maybe it's just, the Rams are your boogeyman hiding in the corner. Every time you play them, you struggle, going back to last year. Or maybe you're just not that good. I don't know yet. I want to believe in you. I like what you got going on. I think you're, a cool guy to root for. Darnold is a funny name. Sammy D. JSN, I don't want to hate on him, but do I want to see him do good necessarily? I don't know. But it's interesting that you're good. You know what I'm saying? Mike McDonald, I wish the Ravens would have kept him. He's doing well as a defensive. I like different styles of teams being competitive. Now, I don't want everybody to be offensive guru, head coach, star quarterback. No, I like defensive coach, and, journeyman quarterback making it happen. So I'm rooting for you. At least your archetype. But that was bad. That was really bad. And you still had a chance to win it. So, keep that in mind for next time. Just keep that in mind, Sam. And last but not least, my guy. He doesn't know me personally. Probably never meet him or anything like that. But my guy, Nick Wright. Listen, Nick Wright, I could sit here and talk a lot about Nick Wright. Again, I'm a fanboy. I can sit on here and talk for hours. He doesn't even know my name. But Nick Wright is a very good TV personality, especially when we're talking about sports, obviously. Um, as you can see, or maybe you don't know, Nick Wright is a Chiefs guy. Through and through Chiefs guy. And it's perfect for him. I was talking to my friend the other day. It's perfect for him. And I'm not saying the Chiefs made him or whatever the case may be, but his rise to being one of the most well-known sports personalities, TV sports personalities, of our time. We're talking about Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Nick Wright. He rose with LeBron, and now that LeBron's going down, he's on Luka. Luka, from the Mavs to the Lakers, boom. Now me and him are both Lakers fans. I've been Laker, but he came with LeBron, and now he came with Luka. We're here. But at the same time that this was happening in the NBA world, in the NFL world, the Chiefs were drafting Patrick Mahomes, trading with the Bills and getting Patrick Mahomes. So now his career is skyrocketed because of I'm not saying, he's riding anybody's coattails or anything like that, because he still puts in the work. But with Braun, Luka, and Patrick Mahomes, having those as your guys, That's a hell of a list to have. He's on this dud list because he really thought the Broncos weren't going to beat the Chiefs. And I didn't think so either. Honestly, the game really mattered. The Chiefs needed it. You know, playoffs are on the line. Obviously, division crown. We didn't really think it was possible, but that was on the line too. Chiefs go out there. They didn't put up a stinker, but they lost. And he had to get on TV. He put his hair back in a man bun because he couldn't shave his head. And he had to be out there and wear it. And I respect that guy a lot because I'll tell you what, if I got embarrassed, hey, if I got embarrassed, all I'm saying, I might. You feel me? Anyways, week 11, baby. Get with me on TikTok, Twitter, the whole nine. Later.
Thanks for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you don't agree with any of my takes, we can argue about it. Get on the podcast, get in the comments, whatever you want to do. You can subscribe to my channel right here. In this other corner, you should get with my TikTok and my Twitter. And in this corner right here, you can watch any more reaction videos, vlogs, or watch any more takes. Till then, see y'all. God bless.